Hey, what's going on YouTube? Alabama Reloader here. So another off the back porch kind of review. Todd B said he likes these, so this one's for you, Todd. But now it's raining. I don't know if you can hear the gutter. Got the downspout over there. It was raining earlier. It might have slacked off a little bit, but so pretty much what we're going to talk about is some 6.5 Creedmoor loads. You guys have already seen the results of the 160s. Okay, so you know, pretty impressive there. Those guys continue to impress. They have shot well. You know, anytime I've loaded them up, they have shot well. So, but what you didn't see were the 139 grain, the Lapua, the open tip match Cinars. I shot 3 groups with those guys at 39.5 grains of H4350, 40 grains, and then 40.5 grains. So I made half grain jumps there, and you know, you can see those results as well. Very good results with H4350. And then I moved over to the 143 ELDX. Same thing, H4350, and this came right off of Hodgdon's website. The max is 41.8, and so then we just back down in 3/10, 41.5, 41.2, and you can see the results there, all really good. That was all me. I cheated that group. Sorry, Hornady. They ended up coming in 3rd on the average group size because of it. But that one, that was pretty. That was going to be a really good group, and that was a terrible shot. That was the 5th shot of the group, and that was just a terrible shot overall. So, don't know if they would have beaten out the Lapuas on average group size, but it would have been close if we could have tightened that up. You know, maybe threw another 5th shot in there. They would have been right in there with the Lapua on the average size. So, but just really good performance overall with the 6.5 Creedmoor. And then this lone 5-shot group with the 140 Spear Gold Dots, that was actually with 44.7 grains of Superformance. And it came in, you know, 0.667. So just a really good range day. This was the other day when I was out there with my brother, and we went and shot. Just had a really great day. Shot a ton. Was able to get, I think, put 50 shots through the 6.5 Creedmoor. So I was able to get all these groups shot. So that was awesome. Well, after this had happened, after I shot these groups, or actually it was a couple days before I shot these groups, I received my Lee Collet die, neck sizing die, and 6.5 Creedmoor. So that came in the mail. My full length resizing die, I used the Hornady 2-die set. The full length resizing die, I'm only bumping the shoulder 1,000th. I've got my full length resizing die set up to bump everything 1,000th. So not working the brass much at all when it comes to our sizing operation. And so I wanted to do a little comparison to see what maybe the concentricity would look like. So these groups are shot just with the normal full length resizing process, and then seeding the bullets with the Hornady seeding die. Okay, so keep that in mind. So that's those groups there. All right, so really good performance. Well, I had taken concentricity measurements on the Hornady 160 grain round nose interlocks. Okay, and I only had 15 of them. All right, so I took these 15, I took the concentricity measurements, all right, and then I went back after I got this die. I installed this guy, and I was like, well, let me see if I see any improvements in concentricity and group size if I just use this die in neck size instead of doing my full length resize. So in the second group that you're about to see, second group of results, I loaded the exact same charges, except for the Spear Gold Dot. That one, you'll see that one. That one's different. But other than that, the other groups, the charge weights are exactly the same. I measured the 15 pieces of the 160 that I had, because that was the sample that I had before that I measured. And I did a comparison. I wanted to see, okay, would I see any improvement by using this die over the full length resizing? And the results are in. We've got them right here on the laptop. Let's check it out. So here we go. You'll see the full length resizing die on the left, the Lee Collet die on the right. The green indicates the areas at which, you know, obviously the better measurements overall. And so on the average, which is what we really care about, the average and the standard deviation. The average, I mean, you can see just on the, again, small sample size, 15 pieces for each die. Okay, so that we need to keep that in mind. Small sample size, but you know, almost 2 thousandths with the full length resizing die, and almost 2 thousandths with the Collet die. So there's 1/10,000th separation between these two dies, just over the 15 pieces. You know, maybe if I did 100 pieces, we may see a larger variation, you know, discrepancy in the average. But still, you know, as far as reloading goes and a reloader's thought process, if you're trying to make consistent ammunition and, you know, make it as consistent as possible, remove as much variation as possible, then it would look like the Lee Collet die would be a good option to possibly add to your reloading process. Right now, for me, I'm still going to run my brass through the full length resize process. All I'm going to do now is remove the decapping rod and the expander ball from the die, and then I'll do a full length resize. I'll bump the shoulder 1,000th, and then I will run the brass through the Lee Collet die. And so basically what that does, pretty much you've got like a mandrel. See, it says mandrel, all right? And it's just a piece of steel. That's all it is. It's just a freaking round piece of steel that is, I think it's 262 in diameter. And basically all you're doing, I think that's what it measures. I didn't take it apart and measure it, but something to that effect. And all you're doing, you're running your brass up inside that die, and it squeezes, just like if you've got a Lee factory crimp die, and you can look down on top of the die and you see it actually squeeze together around the mouth of that case. That's what it's doing here. It's simply, you run the brass up in there, it squeezes the mouth of the case around the mandrel, creates a uniform sort of neck tension, if you will. I was checking the measurements before and after. So on the fired pieces of brass, the inside diameter of the case mouth was 266. Then after I did the neck sizing with the Collet die, they came out at 262. So bullet diameter 264. So we have about 2 thousandths of neck tension there. So that's kind of just rough numbers. But it was extremely consistent. I mean, it was the same every time. So very happy with the consistency at which this die performed. And I got this die. This die was cheap. It was like 16 bucks over at Midway USA. Yeah, so not bad. Again, this is just sort of another tool in the toolbox, right? If you're looking to improve your reloads. Now, that's on the concentricity side of things, right? So we obviously have better measurements. We've improved our measurements, our standard deviation, by using the die. We have shown that in this limited sample size that we did make an improvement. Now, did we see an improvement in the groups? Because that's what a lot of people actually care about. What does the group data tell us? All right. So the group data, and I'll go ahead and spoil it for you. we did not see an overall improvement out of the 10 groups that we shot. Now where is it? This guy. I shot the spear gold dot first instead of last this time. And I used H4350, but still, look at that. Less than 3/4 of an inch just with the max charge. That's pretty good. But the ones that we actually care about, so look at the 160. So 40.4, that's gonna be the load. 4.32 over here, and then 4.1, that's just gonna be our load. We're gonna go with that. But the other two, you know, we saw an improvement in the second group, saw an improvement in the first and second group. Third group opened up on us. So on the Lapua, same thing. That very first group was super awesome last time, not so much this time. But the Lapua, I don't know. All three groups, look at that, all three groups. 4 tight, 1 that kicked out. 4 extremely tight, 1 that kicked out. 4 extremely tight, 1 that... So that was a little bit of a frustration. Those groups could have been spectacular. So yeah, we couldn't pull it together and make it happen. And then the 143 ELDX, just kind of overall, you know, larger groups, except for that very last one. You know, it came in at 0.667, whereas before it was 0.904. So I'll go ahead and tell you that, I mean, just for all of those groups, you know, before over here, not using the Collet die, the average of all the groups was like 0.6 something. Using the Collet die, we were just under 3/4. Okay, so, you know, if you look at all of the groups together and average them, then no, we didn't see the improvement that we should have with the Collet die. But then again, you know, you've got a 1.2 incher right here thanks to that shot. So that obviously doesn't help our average at all. But from the data in terms of concentricity, the Lee Collet die is an operation, that neck sizing die is definitely an operation that will be added to my reloading process. Yeah, so the Creedmoor just continuing to pile on good result after good result. No matter the bullet that I shoot, the gold dots, the 160 round nose, the 139 OTM, the 143 ELDX. I mean, these guys are just shooting awesome. So that's it. That's something I wanted to bring to you guys, like sort of a before and after. Concentricity results did improve using the Collet die, albeit a limited sample size, but they did improve. So that will improve your consistency, right? Now, real world sort of data, going out in the field and applying it, we didn't necessarily see it in the numbers, but there could be shooter error involved, right? I mean, once you get down to this level, you know, these measurements, it could have definitely been a shooter error that skews the groups, where maybe actually we did see an overall improvement, very slight, but it could have been an overall improvement. So that's it. What do you guys think? Oh yeah, also check out these freaking, yeah, so look at that. 15 groups. This includes my 338 Lapua groups with 250 grain Game Kings. Look at that. 15 groups for an overall average of 736. 6 different bullets, 2 different powders, 14 different charge weights. Shooting less than 3/4. That's pretty impressive. But there you go. Pretty awesome 6.5 Creedmoor results. So let me know what you guys think. Do you use a Collet die? What's been your experience? Have you seen vast improvement or just minor improvements? Do you even care? Yeah, that's it. But I think right now this thing, it's like 25 bucks over at Midway. I got to check with Mr. Big Guns over in Huntsville. I don't know if they have these in stock. I think they do. I think they have them. I can't remember if they have them for 6.5 Creedmoor. But yeah, that might be the way to go now. I'm going to look at getting one of those for $308. So that's it. A little long on the video, but wanted to bring you guys the results of the latest couple of range trips. So there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll catch y'all next time. Y'all have a good one.